Believe it or not, I did this on purpose.
Well. Today, continuing with the Alice Oseman verse, we'll be talking about I Was Born for This. That's the lights. Yes, I put them on purpose. This is one of my favorites Alice Oseman's standalones. I want to talk about lots of things in this video, so I won't make this intro any longer. Just let's get started with it. Part 1. What is this thing? So, I Was Born for This is the third book that Alice Oseman published in 2018 and, as I said, one of my favorites. So I also want to waste time explaining the plot, so I just decided to read what Goodreads says about it. So yeah, let's just read it. I'm really uncomfortable reading for people, so please don't judge me. I don't really know how to read that well. This is a big insecurity for me. For Angel Rahimi, life is only about one thing. The Ark, a pop rock trio of teenage boys who are currently taking the world by storm. Being a part of the Ark's fandom has given her everything. Her friendships, her dreams, her place in the world. Shimi, I don't know how to pronounce his last name and I don't want to mess it up, so Shimi. Shimi owes everything to the Ark too. He's their front man, and playing in a band is all he's ever dreamed of doing. It's just a shame that recently everything in his life seems to have turned into a bit of a nightmare. What an Argentinian accent. Because that's the problem with dreaming. Eventually, inevitably, real life arrives with a wake-up call. And when Angel and Shimi are unexpectedly thrust together, they will discover just how strange and surprising facing up to reality can be. So, characters. I will explain a little better the book, because I think Goodreads did this without spoilers, but this is not a video without spoilers, you know that. Anyway, we have two protagonists. First, we have Angel, who is 18 years old. Her real name is Firste, but she uses Angel on the internet because she likes it more, I guess, or because she doesn't want people like me to mispronounce it. She thinks her life will start having purpose once she gets to meet the Ark. It's really supportive when it comes to panic attacks. Now, in the story, Angel is staying in London with her friend Juliette, who is 18 years old and lives in London with her grandma, and Mac, Juliette's friend, who wants to get with her. She didn't know Mac was going to be there, and she's basically third wheeling for most part of the book. Then we have our other protagonist, Shimi, vocalist and guitarist of the Ark. He is a big ball of anxiety and is currently scared of possibly being murdered by one of his fans. And yeah, being a part of the One Direction of this universe, one of the most popular bands in the whole world, is not really helping him with that fear. Shimi loves his grandpa and he just wants a normal life. Okay, two other important characters, we have Rowan and Lister. Rowan is 19 years old, bass player, dad of the band, best friend of Shimi, and he low-key hates his fans. And he's currently secretly dating Liz Lay, the best character in this whole story. The only thing I dislike about her is the fact that she likes to drink whole milk. And for me, a lactose intolerant, that is a crime, at least for my stomach. We have Lister, who is 19 years old, batteries of the Ark, bisexual disaster, has a crush on Shimi. And it's the definition of everyone wants to date me, nobody wants to love me. A special mention to one of my other favorite characters, Piero, 84 years old, Shimi's grandpa. He basically raised Shimi. He was so caring and loving, and he accepts Shimi for who he is, and I just love him so fucking much. Now that I introduced the characters for you, let's move on to what everyone was waiting for, my beautiful and so relevant opinion about this book. So, this book, I love this book. The story was really interesting, and I love the fact that we get to see every situation from the point of view of two characters who are living two completely different lives, in two completely different situations. And you don't really get lost when the story changes narrators. It's actually really natural, if that makes any sense. So, on one side of the story, we have an obsessive fandom, and we got to see how much excitement there is around the Ark and boy bands in general, as well as it shows how the music industry works from the Ark's point of view. How tired they are, how uncomfortable they feel around these strangers who claim to love them without even knowing them, the constant fear of making mistakes in front of the cameras, and the fact that they have to hide part of their life in order to be safe, such as Rowan's relationship with Bliss, and do not get me started on that new contract. I actually understand why Shimi was so anxious about it all. It seems like signing this contract was the end. They became a product. It wasn't about liking music and enjoying making it anymore. Then again, this is starting to be something common for me now that I'm reading more Alice Oseman books, but I couldn't stop reading this book either. I love understanding and relating to the characters and know what they feel, and the fact that I got to see two different points of view, I just loved it so much. I wanted to keep reading to find out what was happening and what they were thinking in that moment. Now, another thing I liked about this book, and this is the part that I was most excited to talk about, is that it has a lot of representation and diversity. This is not surprise for me though. Alice Oseman is an excellent writer and she is well known for her LGBTQ graphic novels Heartstopper. Quick parenthesis, in my last video I know I said it was a comic. I'm sorry, at the time I couldn't find the word in English to say it. English is not my first language, I'm sorry. Continuing with the representation, as a gender fluid person, having a trans mask main character was so big for me. I really enjoyed reading about it, and I have to say I got so emotional while reading about Jimmy's relationship with his grandfather. He was so supportive, and he even gave Jimmy a knife that was supposed to be passed to the man in the family, and I just thought that was so special, and it did make me tear up more than once. I will say, and then again this is my own personal opinion, I would have liked to read more about Jimmy's struggles with other things such as gender dysphoria, but that's something personal, that it's not something wrong. I just wanted to relate more with this character and get to know more about him and his experience. Now, speaking of queer representation, I have to mention Lister Bird. I liked how Lister's crush on Jimmy wasn't something relevant to the story. I mean, it was relevant, but let me explain myself a little more. I wanted this ship to happen so bad, and I actually started reading this book because I knew about this ship. I was waiting for it to happen, but I liked that Alice prioritized other things that were happening in the story. And the fact that nothing really happened between them, it made me relate to Jimmy's character a lot more, and I will continue to explain myself. He had so much anxiety, so many things in his head. He couldn't stop and actually process his feelings for Lister. I think it adds up to Jimmy's personality, and it also shows how anxiety feels. You constantly feel trapped in your own head by your own thoughts that you can't stop. Of course, Jimmy was emotionally unavailable, and so was Lister. If they ended up being together in this book, I feel like it would have just destroyed their friendship, and it would have hurt them a lot. And I like that they are taking time to solve their own problems first and work on their mental health before starting something together. Now, although I feel this way about their relationship in this book, I also got very excited when I saw that they were canon. On Alice Oseman's Instagram account, where she posts her art, is this one. If you want to follow her, please do. If you like the books, I love the extra content that she posts. So yeah, there you go. Now, speaking of relationships, something that really bothers me while reading books, it's reading about the drama between two characters that shouldn't be together, but the story is forcing them to be together just because it is supposed to be a love story. And that's something that I really appreciate and liked about this book, because this doesn't happen at all. Now, every relationship in this book has its complications, of course, it's a relationship. For example, I like how Rowan and Bliss' relationship ended. At the start of the book, they are portrayed as a really healthy and beautiful couple, but in the end they have some problems and they end up broken up because they realize that that will be the healthiest thing to do in order to protect and maintain their friendship. They weren't meant to be together anymore. They ended things in good terms. I like that it was something just so normal, natural, and healthy. I actually felt good while reading how they were breaking up. I mean, I wasn't happy, of course, but I get it, I understand it. Now, I do want to talk a little bit more about Lister's character before we continue with anything else. Lister. He needs therapy, he needs me to drive him to therapy. We don't really have much information about his past. We only know that now that he's famous, he's sending money to his mother to help her, of course, economically. He was the last person to join the band, and you can see how he struggles sometimes to share his feelings with his bandmates. Now, I do not like how things turned out in the end, but I feel like it was necessary to make everyone stop for a second and realize the situation, and to also realize and admit that they needed help. Lister constantly felt like a burden for the band. He wanted to make things better, but he didn't know how, so he just avoided the situation constantly with parties and stuff. Plus, the fact that everyone in the fandom was constantly sexualizing him must have added up to the situation. He felt like an offshoot that had no purpose. Then again, I either relate to these characters, I want to be their friend, or I want to take them to therapy and give them hugs and food. That's it. Continuing what I was saying, I like that in the end he was able to talk things through with Rowan and Shimi, and they all wanted to help him. And yeah, I have this headcanon where they all go to therapy because they are one of the most famous boy bands in this alternative universe, and they sure can afford it. So yeah, my headcanon is that they all went to therapy and they solved their problems. Now I want to do another quick mention to Angel's parents. If I had a child and they acted like Angel, I would have killed them. She didn't answer their text. She was so disrespectful to them. Something bad could have happened to her the whole time. She was careless about it all. She was constantly in a dangerous situation that she put herself in. And she didn't even think about the possible consequences of her actions. Like, I understand. If Conan Gray comes to my hometown and I found him on the streets and he told me that he wants to meet his grandfather that lives not far away from here, and he asked me to accompany him because he feels so alone and he just had a panic attack, of course I would help him. It's Conan Gray. I love Conan Gray. But I'm definitely sure I would have at least told my sisters that I was going with Conan Gray. Because even though it's Conan Gray, that doesn't erase the fact that he is a stranger to me, as I am a stranger to him. But I guess the point of this book is to show how idealizing someone that much can make you do reckless things, in a dangerous amount of reckless. But moving on. Personally for me, I think the best part of this book is slowly realizing that both Shimi's and Angel's worlds are starting to collide. You can read both characters' experiences, you know what they are thinking, you know everything that is happening, while also knowing that they might be in the same room without even realizing it. And it was so good, that was so amazing. In conclusion, I really enjoyed this book. That's no surprise. I think it's one of my favorites up until now. I haven't read Radio Silence yet. I'm sorry. If you like the slice of life kind of books involving drama, music culture, diversity, and lots of LGBTQ plus representation, I'm sure you would like it. I'm not even sure, I'm certain that you will like it. So yeah, I think that's all for today. I hope you enjoyed this video, and next week we're talking about Loveless. I hope you stay tuned for that. I am really excited for that book too. And yeah, have a nice week. Bye! Shout out to my mom who thought these were real tattoos. I really cannot explain how much gender euphoria this outfit gave me. It's amazing.